There is something deeply disturbing about the serial killers and murders on death row, and what is even more creepy is their requests for their final meal. Today, we are going to go through 20 death row meals. Which one would you order? Number 1. Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy was a serial killer who is known to have murdered over 30 women during the 1970s. For his last meal, he refused to make a special request, so he was given the standard last meal on Florida's death row: steak done medium rare, eggs over easy, toast with butter and jelly, milk, coffee, juice, and hash browns. He did not have a single bite. Number 2. Peter Kurten was nicknamed the Vampire of Dusseldorf for a series of gruesome murders committed in the German city in 1929. For his last meal, he requested a Wiener Schnitzel, fried potatoes, and a bottle of white wine. He asked for seconds, and his request was granted. Number 3. Adolf Eichmann. Eichmann was one of the key organizers of the Holocaust, implicating him in the death of millions. For his last meal, he requested a bottle of red wine. Number 4. Timothy McVeigh, the infamous Oklahoma City bomber, was charged with 168 counts of murder after bombing a federal building because of his hatred of the government. For his last meal, he requested 2 pints of mint chocolate chip ice cream. Number 5. Aileen Wuornos, a former sex worker. She shot dead and robbed 7 of her male clients, but was only charged with 6 counts of murder, which she claims were all in self-defense. For her last meal, she refused to eat in protest of the abusive treatment in the prison, opting instead for a single cup of black coffee. Number 6. Delbert Teague Jr. kidnapped and sexually assaulted an 18-year-old woman in Fort Worth and murdered a Good Samaritan who tried to rescue her. Teague was described by prosecutors as a one-man slaughterhouse because of his unparalleled violence toward his victims. For his last meal, he initially refused to eat until his mom came and yelled at him. He then begrudgingly requested a cheeseburger. Number 7. David Edwin Mason, an American serial killer who beat, strangled, and robbed 4 elderly victims within a 9-month period. While being held in county jail awaiting trial, Mason killed his cellmate. In addition, Mason was wanted in Butte County for shooting and killing his male lover while the victim was sleeping. Mason was charged with 4 counts of murder. For his last meal, he requested a glass of ice water. Number 8. Carla Fay Tucker. Tucker, a born-again Christian married to a minister, was charged with 2 counts of murder after killing 2 men with a pickaxe during a burglary. For her last meal, she requested a salad, a peach, and a banana. Number 9. Victor Fager. The last person to be executed in Iowa was charged with murder after abducting and killing a doctor to gain access to any drugs that Bartles may have carried to treat patients. For his last meal, he requested a single olive with the pit left in. He believed the pit would grow an olive tree inside of him, ironically symbolizing peace. Number 10. David Earl Miller, Tennessee's longest-waiting death row inmate. David Earl Miller was a 22-year-old drifter living with a church pastor when he brutally murdered 23-year-old Lee Standifer. He smashed her skull with a fire poker and repeatedly stabbed her to death in 1981. He was executed at 61-year-old, and he requested fried chicken as his final meal. Number 11. Fritz Haron became known as the Butcher of Hanover after he sexually assaulted, murdered, and mutilated at least 24 boys and young men in Germany in the wake of World War I. In accordance with German tradition, Haarmann was not told of his scheduled execution until the night before. In lieu of a last meal, he was granted an expensive cigar and a cup of Brazilian coffee. Number 12. John Wayne Gacy. Over the course of his life, Gacy, a former KFC manager, murdered 33 young men and boys, often while dressed like a clown. He then buried the bodies under his house. For his last meal, he requested 12 fried shrimp, a bucket of KFC fried chicken, French fries, and a pound of strawberries. He was never told whether or not the fried chicken was actually from KFC. Number 13. Richard Cooey. In 1986, 19-year-old Richard Cooey sexually assaulted, stabbed, and tortured 2 college students in Akron, Ohio. His last meal he requested: a T-bone steak, onion rings, French fries, 4 fried eggs and buttered toast, hash browns, a bucket of Rocky Road ice cream, bear claw pastries, and a bottle of Mountain Dew. Number 14. Lawrence Russell Brewer. White supremacist Lawrence Brewer and 2 others offered local African-American man James Byrd Jr. a lift home in the town of Jasper, Texas. They beat Byrd and chained him by the ankles to the back of a ute, dragging him for about 5 kilometers until he was decapitated. His last meal was 2 chicken fried steaks and gravy, a triple meat bacon cheeseburger, a cheese omelet, a bowl of fried okra, a pound of barbecued meat, half a loaf of white bread, 3 fajitas, a meat lover's pizza, 3 root beers, a bucket of ice cream, and a slab of peanut butter fudge. When the meal arrived, Brewer said he wasn't hungry and didn't eat any. Number 15. Ray Rector. Shot 3 people at a restaurant in Arkansas, then murdered a police officer while pretending to surrender. Rector then shot himself in the head in a suicide attempt. He survived, but the injury left him with serious brain damage that rendered him mentally disabled. Rector ate the steak, fried chicken, and cherry Kool-Aid before his execution, but told the prison guard he was saving his slice of pecan pie for later. Number 16. Marian Albert Pruett was given $800, the alias Charles Sonny Pearson, and put in the Federal Witness Protection Program for testifying about a murder in a federal prison in Atlanta. Pruett then used his new alias to kill 5 people, including his wife, to fund his cocaine addiction. Pruett requested his last meal to be a Pizza Hut stuffed crust pizza, 4 Burger King Whoppers, French fries, fried squash, fried eggplant, fried okra, a whole pecan pie, and 3 2-liter Pepsi bottles. 17. Scotty Morrow was executed by lethal injection in Georgia on May 2, 2019, for the murders of his ex-partner Barbara Ann Young and her friend Tanya Rochelle Woods on December 29, 1994. He requested a huge last meal of a hamburger with mayonnaise, 2 chicken and waffle meals, a pint of butter pecan ice cream, a bag of buttered popcorn, 2 all-beef franks, and a large lemonade. Number 18. Danny Rowling, the Gainesville Ripper, was a serial killer who was sentenced to death for killing 5 students in Florida in the 90s. He later confessed to committing a triple homicide in Louisiana, sexually assaulting several of his victims, and attempting to murder his father. His last meal was butterfly shrimp, lobster tail, a baked potato, strawberry cheesecake, and sweet tea. Number 19. Thomas Grasso strangled an 87-year-old woman with her Christmas tree lights on Christmas Eve in 1990. He murdered an 81-year-old man and stole his Social Security check 6 months later. His final meal was 2 dozen steamed mussels, 2 dozen steamed clams, a half dozen of barbecue spare ribs, a double cheeseburger from Burger King, half a pumpkin pie with whipped cream and strawberries, 2 strawberry milkshakes, and a 16-ounce can of SpaghettiOs served at room temperature. Number 20. William Bonan. The freeway killer sexually assaulted, tortured, and murdered at least 21 young boys and men in California from May 1979 to June 1980. Bonan is also speculated of committing at least 15 more murders. He requested his last meal to be 2 pepperoni and sausage pizzas, 3 servings of chocolate ice cream, and 3 six-packs of Coca-Cola and Pepsi for his last meal. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.